Hello and welcome to Study 10M, and today we will be exploring the basics of world geography. In previous lesson we learned clouds, climate, forests, hydrosphere, and today we will learn relief of the ocean basin. Continental shelf. The shallow submerged extension of the continent is called continental shelf, extends to a depth of 100 fathoms. Average width 70 km, average slope 17 feet miles or about 1 degree. Continental shelf covers 7.5% area of the oceans. It extends over 13.3% of the Atlantic Ocean, 5.7% of Pacific Ocean and 4.2% of Indian Ocean. Continental slope extends seawards from the continental shelf. Depth is 200 to 2000 fathoms. Average slope is 210.5 degree. Continental rise. Continental rise is an area at the foot of the slope slightly rising due to the accumulation of debris transported over the slope. Oil deposits occur here. Average slope 0.5 degree to 1 degree. The deep sea plains. It is the deepest and most extensive part of the oceanic floor. It covers about 75.9% of total oceanic areas. Average depth 3000 meter to 6000 meter. Deeps or trenches. Trenches are narrow and steep as sides of depressions. Mariana Trench is the deepest trench in the world, situated in the northwest Pacific Ocean near Philippines. It is more than 11 km deep. Oceanic ridges. Oceanic ridges are formed by the volcanic activity along the spreading boundary of plates. It is thousands of kilometers long and hundreds of kilometers wide mountain range on the oceanic floor, or for example, mid-oceanic ridges. Seamount and guyouts. A ridge rising more than 100 meters above the ocean floor is called seamount. The flat-topped seamount are called guyouts. Submarine canyons. Submarine canyons are the deep gorges on the ocean floor and are restricted to the continental shelves, slopes, and ridges. Coral reefs. Coral reefs are formed due to the accumulation and the compaction of skeletons of limes secreting organisms known as coral polyps. Corals are found mainly in the tropical oceans and sea because they require high mean annual temperature ranging between 20 degree to 25 degree. Corals do not live in deeper waters due to lack of sufficient sunlight and oxygen. Coral reef and their location. Fringing reefs. It develops along the continental margins or along the islands. These types of reefs are found near Rameswaram in the Gulf of Mannar. Barrier reefs. Largest coral reefs of the coastal platforms but parallel to them. The reef lies at a distance away from the coast. Atoll. A reef of narrow growing corals of horseshoe shaped and crowned with palm trees is called an atoll. It is formed around an island or in an elliptical form on a submarine platform. Funafuti Atoll of Elix Island is a famous atoll also found in Lakshadweep and Nicobar. Coral bleaching. When corals are stressed by changes in conditions such as temperature, light, and nutrients, they expel the symbiotic algae living in their tissues, causing them to turn no as coral bleaching. Most saline water bodies and their percentage compositions. Salinity. Average salinity in southern hemisphere is more than that of northern hemisphere. Isohelins represent the salinity distribution at the surface of the sea. These are the lines joining places having an equal degree of salinity. Poles have minimum salinity because of addition of fresh water in the form of icebergs and excessive snowfall. Salinity also increases the density of water. Salinity on an average decreases from equatorial to poles. Composition of sea water. Controlling factors of the oceanic salinity. The salinity of oceans and different seas depends on a number of factors such as evaporation, precipitation, influx of the river water, prevailing wind, oceanic currents, sea waves, etc. Movements of oceanic waters. Waves are the oscillatory movements in the water mainly produced by winds manifested by an alternate rise and fall of the water surface. Seismic waves or tsunamis are the waves caused by earthquakes, volcanic eruption in the sea bottom. Ocean current. An ocean current is continuous directed movement of ocean water generated by the forces acting upon it, such as breaking waves, wind, Coriolis effect, temperature and salinity difference, and tides caused by the gravitation pull of the moon and the sun. Ocean currents circulate in clockwise direction in northern hemisphere and in anti-clockwise direction in southern hemisphere. The warm currents, cold currents. The ocean currents flowing from lower latitude to higher latitude are called as warm currents. Cold currents, the ocean currents flowing from higher altitude to lower altitude are called cold currents. Currents of North Pacific Ocean. Warm current. North equatorial current. It flows westwards from the western coast of Mexico of Philippines. Kuroshio current. It is an extension of North equatorial current near Japan coast. It flows towards north. Alaska current. It flows along the coast of British Columbia and Alaska Peninsula. Cold currents. Oasio current. It flows down from Bering Sea towards Japan from North Pole and it joins Kuroshio currents. Ox current and Kurin. Ox joins Kuroshio current to the north of Japan. West wind drift. It flows towards Alaska, California current. It is an extension of Alaskan currents. It joins finally the north equatorial current and completes clockwise circulation of water. Currents of South Pacific Ocean. Warm currents, East Australian current or Great Barrier Current. It flows towards east coast of Australia from equator towards pole. South Equatorial Current, it originates due to southeast trade winds and flows westwards and bifurcates near New Guinea. Counter Equatorial Current, it extends up to Panama Bay. It flows exactly on equatorial from west to east. Cold currents. Peruvian current, it flows from south towards equator on the coast of Chile and Peru. West wind drift, it flows from Tasmania to Chile coast of South America. Currents of North Atlantic Ocean. Warm currents. North equatorial current, it is present between equator and 10 degree north. Kenny current. It flows adjacent of French Guiana and enters into Caribbean Sea and Gulf of Mexico. Florida current. Kenny current near Florida is called Florida current. And Antilles current, it flows to the east of West Indies and other islands. Gulf Stream, it flows from US coast towards northwest Europe under the influence of westerly winds. North Atlantic drift. Gulf Streams bifurcates into North Atlantic drift, West wind drift and Canaries current. Cold currents. Labrador Current. It originates in Baffin Bay and Davis Strait and merges with Gulf Stream near Newfoundland. Newfoundland is a famous zone of fishing, commonly known as Grand Bank. Armiger Current or Greenland Current. It flows between Greenland and Iceland and merges with North Atlantic Drift. Canaries Current. It flows along the western coast of North Africa between Madeira, Cape Verde, and it joins North Equatorial Current. West wind drift, it flows towards UK. Currents of South Atlantic Ocean. Warm current. South equatorial current, it flows between the equator and 10 degrees south. Brazilian current, it flows to the east coast of Brazil from equator towards pole. Cold currents. Falkland current, it flows along the southeast coast of South America from south to north. Venezuela current, it flows from the south to north near the Cape of Good Hope. West wind drift, it is continuation of Brazilian and Falkland current. New Guinea current, it flows near coast of Guinea, Africa. Current of the Indian Ocean. The Asiatic monsoon influences the currents of the North Indian Ocean, while the currents of South Indian Oceans are influenced by the atmosphere's anticyclonic circulation. North equatorial current. The current flows from the east to west and upon reaching the east coast of Africa, a good portion turns southward, crosses the equator and becomes the Mozambique current. Mozambique current. The Mozambique current flows south along the east coast of Africa from the vicinity of the equator to about 35 degrees south, where it becomes Agulhas stream. Agulhas stream. The Agulhas stream flows westwards along the southern west of Madagascar and joins the Mozambique current along the East African coast. West and west wind drift current, northeast monsoon drift, southwest monsoon drift, south equatorial current, Somalia current. Tides. The rise and fall of the sea level as a result of the forces between the earth, the moon and the sun is called a tide. The interval between two tides is 12 hours and 26 minutes. Spring tides, neap tides. When the earth, the moon and the sun are in a straight line, the sun enhances the gravitational pull of the moon, creating a conditions of higher high tides and lower low tides known as spring tides. Neap tides. When the sun and the moon are right angles to the earth, the sun partially contracts the pull of the moon, producing lower high tides, typical of a neap tide. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to Study 10M for more exciting geography lessons. Thanks for watching. And if you have any question, then comment below.